got slow-mo footage.
Good evening. Nelson Mandela once said, "There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children." Unfortunately, there are millions of children in the United States that are abused and neglected each year. According to childhelp.org, more than 6.6 million children are reported to child protective agencies annually in the United States. The U.S. has one of the worst track records among all of the industrialized nations for child abuse and neglect. They have to live with an uncertainty of their future and what their lives will look like. The foster care system tries to help rebuild these children's lives and give them a stable future in which they can look forward to. The foster care system really struggles, though, to keep up with the number of children that are coming in and out of it every single year, and there simply isn't enough help to service all of the children in need. However, if more of us were to get involved, we could solve this problem. We need to unite and take a stand to help our children. I think that oftentimes people are intimidated by the thought of joining in the foster care movement because they simply do not fully understand it or understand all of the ways in which they could help. Tonight, I hope to explain to you what foster care is, the reason there's such a great need for help, and the things that you could do to get involved and help our children. First, let's take a look at what foster care is. I think understanding foster care is a key component to getting passionate about the cause. The foster care system is a very complex system that's there to help children who have been abused and neglected. According to childwelfare.gov, this is a temporary service for children who can no longer live at home with their own families. It's also important to realize that there's many reasons that children end up in foster care. Also, the amount of time they spend in foster care depends completely on their circumstance, why they were taken away, how well the families work to get their children back, and other reasons. Also, there are many children that enter into foster care over and over again. Some, unfortunately, never leave foster care. There are also many types of foster care. These include intensive treatments. That's probably going to be for those who have suffered really bad abuse. There's specialized care, which is going to be, for children who have handicapped or other special needs. There's also respite care, which is there to give foster parents relief. There's emergency care. Sometimes our children are taken out of their homes in the middle of the night and they have nowhere to go. There's relative care, which means that they're taken away from their parents. There is a hope that they can stay with a grandma, an aunt, or someone in their family. Then there's also non-relative care, which is just a family willing to take in a child. Foster care is also the only chance many of these children have to be able to have a positive and productive future. During foster care, many treatments are offered to the children. These include counseling, play therapy, behavior therapy, coping skills. In addition to that, the foster care system offers many things to the parents. They work with the parents on how to become better parents, how to manage their anger. Oftentimes, maybe job skills. Sometimes children are taken away simply because the family can't meet the basic needs. During foster care, there are other arrangements sometimes that have to be made, like permanent placements, adoptions, or finding different places for children to stay until they reach 18. Now that we've kind of talked through what foster care is, I want to look at why the need is so great for so many people to get involved. The foster care system lacks many, many needed resources. the foster care providers are unable to keep up with the number of children that are coming into care. My mom actually found herself in this situation earlier this year. She works at a school, and she overheard the administration at the school talking about they didn't know what to do. The school day was over, and there were 2 little girls that they had nowhere to go. They got word they couldn't go home, and there was no available foster families in the entire town. Luckily, my mom knew these 2 girls, and they were able to place them with her until they could find other arrangements. According to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, there has also been a decrease in the number of foster parents available, people willing to do this type of work. Another issue that makes the need so great is that the foster care system sort of is invisible in many communities. If you aren't directly, related to it or involved in it, you oftentimes don't even realize the number of foster kids you come in contact with every single day. According to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, over 500,000 children are in foster care in the United States annually. In Colorado, which is where we're at, the Administration for Child, Youth, and Families states that over 10,000 kids were involved in foster care in the year of 2015. I think we also need to remember that it's not easy for our kids to enter into foster care, which also makes the need so great for there to be so many people involved. But on the bright side, according to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychology, our children bounce back quickly. They're very resilient as long as they get the help that they need. The need is great also due to the many different facets of the foster care system. In Colorado alone, there was over 200,000 calls made reporting abuse and neglect. Out of these, 21,000 cases had to be opened, investigated. Children had to be removed from their homes and placed somewhere. There are also many decisions and plans that have to be made for each child that's removed from their home and placed with someone. The main one of these is called permanency placing. This is where it's decided if children will return to their families, if their families need to work some sort of plan, get counseling, get these, different helps that I talked about earlier, or if they need to find a foster family for them. All of this takes many trained professionals, but it also takes an array of volunteers. Now that you understand what foster care is, I'd like to talk to you about how you can get involved. According to the Network for Good, there are many, many ways that you can get involved. One way is by becoming a foster parent or adoptive parent. A foster parent is going to be somebody that takes a child or children in for an extended period of time, maybe 3 months, maybe up to a year and a half. They work with caseworkers, counselors, and family members to try to get these children reunited with their parents. Adoptive parents, you would become more of a permanent home for that child. You would adopt them and you would take them in as if they were your own. You can also become a respite provider. This not only helps the children and the families, but it helps the foster parents who are working so hard on behalf of our children. It gives them a break. Just like we all take trips or, have things to do occasionally, we get babysitters, we give them to grandma. That's what a respite care provider does. It provides the foster parent with a break. There's also many volunteer positions. These include being a mentor or an advocate on behalf of the children. So you can get involved in the community. Oftentimes with the court system, you can go down, you can take a quick class, and then you can work one-on-one with children and be an advocate, be their voice when it's time to go to court or time to make big decisions about what's going to happen to their future. One way to become a volunteer is you can check with the local organizations. And after this speech, if that's something you're interested in, I can get you the information for the ones here here in Carbondale. Another way, possibly the simplest way, is to make a donation. This takes not much time, but it provides so many needed resources. And also, it may not seem like much to donate 10, 20, however much money you have, but it truly does make a huge, huge impact. The needs associated with the foster care system, which again is a system that is put into place to facilitate and help our children and youth in need. But we need more people willing to take a stand and help. There are many ways, as I've explained to you, to get involved, and I really, really urge you to do so. I hope you will not just sit here today and realize, possibly for the first time, how great this need is, but I hope you will do something about it. We need people to unite and stand together and be willing to do what it takes to support our foster care system. We really need to take action, not just admit that there's a need for it, but get passionate about helping our children and realize that without all of us, our children are going to suffer. I would like to offer to you after this speech, if you are willing to get involved, to come and talk to me. I have lots of resources ready for any of the ways I discussed with you that you can get involved, and the numbers you can call, and the ways that you can get involved. So, I would like you to raise your hand if you'd be willing to get involved in one of the ways that I discussed. All right. Well, then I'm going to end the speech and we can talk about how you can get involved. Oh my God.